today, inshallah, we are going to start the first chapter of Wuthering Heights. But before we start, we want to remind ourselves about the family tree of Wuthering Heights. First, we have Mr. Earnshaw, the landlord, and his wife, Mrs. Earnshaw. Hindley Earnshaw and his sister, Catherine. Hindley married Francis, who gave birth of Harrington. On the other side, we have Thrushcross Grange family tree. Old Mr. Linton and Mrs. Linton. They have a son called Edgar and a daughter called Isabella. Later, Edgar will marry Catherine and they will get Kathy. And later Isabella will marry Heathcliff, the gypsy boy, and they will have Linton. Lockwood, the lodger, this character, or the character of Lockwood functions primarily as an outsider who gradually learns the story of the Linton and Earnshaw family. Lockwood is also not very self-aware. He claims to want to be alone. Ellen Dean, who is a servant at Wuthering Heights and later at Thrushcross Grange, she is the housekeeper to the Earnshaws and Lintons, and the novel is from her point of view. We see every character aside from Lockwood through her eyes. She grows up with Hindley, Catherine, and Heathcliff and works at both Wuthering Heights and Thrushcross Grange. In some editions, she is called Nellie. In Chapter 1, Mr. Lockwood visits Wuthering Heights. The main points of the chapter: Mr. Lockwood visits Wuthering Heights. Lockwood is telling us about his visit to Wuthering Heights, where he met his landlord, Mr. Heathcliff, who rented him Thrushcross Grange. Lockwood and Heathcliff have the same character. They both don't like people. Everyone at Wuthering Heights received Lockwood in a bad way. Heathcliff hardly receives guests. The name of Wuthering Heights means a windswept house on a hill. The trees around the house don't grow straight, but they are bent by the wind. The name of Earnshaw is Cotton too, stone over the front door of the house. Although Heathcliff's hair and skin are dark as a gypsy, he behaves as a gentleman. Lockwood was left alone with dogs which attacked him. He asked for help, but nobody answered. Finally, he was luckily saved by a servant called Zella. Lockwood asked Heathcliff not to leave the dogs with stranger anymore. Lockwood offered to pay Heathcliff another visit, but the latter didn't show any interest. Lockwood visited Wuthering Heights again, but that time the weather was so bad and it began to snow. He was let in where there was a fire and a table full of food. There was a woman who he thought Mrs. Heathcliff. She kept silent, but she seemed to be young and beautiful. There was a young man who looked like a farmer, but he seemed to be a part of the family. Lockwood asked Heathcliff for a servant to guide him to the Grange, but there weren't any servants except Joseph the servant. Lockwood made a big mistake by asking Heathcliff if he was happy with his wife, who in fact was dead. He again made another mistake when he thought that Harrington was the husband of the young lady. Lockwood decided to stay at Wuthering Heights for a night. Mr. Heathcliff told him that he could share a bed with Harrington or Joseph, but Lockwood didn't like to stay with them. He was so angry. As he was leaving, the dogs chased him and attacked him again. He was knocked to the ground. Zella, the housekeeper, rescued him from the dogs. Finally, Lockwood wasn't able to walk home and he had to spend the night there. So Zella took him upstairs to Catherine's room, but she asked him not to tell anybody about it. Thank you.